EFF seeks to form a coalition with ANC, but there are major conditions. The Economic Freedom Fighters EFF said on Saturday it would begin to co-govern with the African National Congress ANC, but there are conditions. The EFF said it would form a coalition with the ANC only if the DA and FF Plus were kept out of this coalition group. The party, led by Julius Malema, made these desires following a bilateral meeting held on June 28, 2024 in Johannesburg. The EFF is willing to constitute and participate in an ANC-led government together with other parties, with the exception of the Democratic Alliance and Freedom Front Plus EFF Secretary General Marshall Dlamini said. Dlamini addressed this letter to the ANC's Secretary General Fikile Mbalula and said that the EFF was committed to the rule of the law, supremacy of the Constitution, anti-corruption, accountability and transparency. Dlamini said that the ANC and EFF could co-govern and hit the ground running. On why the EFF would not work with the DA and EFF, Dlamini said that these two parties represent the imperialist, counter-revolutionary, white supremacist agenda. Dlamini further reminded the ANC that the DA openly wrote to imperialist United States of America to interfere and supervise South Africa's democratic elections. He argued that this undermined SA's sovereignty and insulted the country's collective intelligence. A statement of intent. Dlamini called for a statement of intent between the EFF and ANC and said such an agreement would mean that the EFF acknowledged the ANC as leader of the government. Such an agreement or statement of intent must necessarily include key principles informed by the strategic objectives of the total liberation of the oppressed as encapsulated in the Freedom Charter and progressive internationalism, he added. The agreement or statement of intent must also necessarily include the principles of redress and equality as captured in the Section 9.2 of the Constitution, which states that to promote the achievement of equality, legislative and other measures designed to protect and advance persons or categories of persons disadvantaged by unfair discrimination may be taken, Dlamini added. He also noted that the agreement must translate into provincial and municipal governments with the aim of government stability and accelerated quality service delivery. We give our assurance and guarantee that we shall never work with the DA in any sphere of government to remove the ANC from power where it is elected as leader of the executive or legislature. We are willing to participate in any executive as long as the DA and FF Plus are not included, and affirm the principles that the President and all premiers have the prerogative to determine the composition of the executive after consultation with the EFF leadership, he emphasized. The EFF further expressed their desire to find representation in all the clusters of national government as ministers or deputies. We also are willing to take leadership in legislatures in form of speaker and deputy speakers and chairpersons of portfolio committees. We would like to state that we are not in the mission to pursue cabinet positions for careerist purposes. We seek participation that will bring meaningful and historic change to the lives of the oppressed and the people of South Africa, all, Dlamini added. We conclusively advise that the ANC must not work or co-govern with the DA and FF Plus in the interest of its historic mission. This, the ANC must do, even if it believes that the EFF is not its preferred partners, Dlamini said. Rand hits the 17 Rand mark against the dollar as the DA-ANC continues GNU talks. The Rand strengthened against the dollar further on Saturday and has breached the 17 Rand mark as the African National Congress ANC and the Democratic Alliance DA continue to iron out their issues over the formation of a government of national unity GNU. The Rand was trading around 17.87 against the dollar at 10:20 a.m. on Saturday. The ZAR was trading at around 18.23 to the dollar at the close of business on Friday. In these terms of the global currencies, the Rand was trading around 19.5 to the euro and 23.01 Rand to the pound by midday Saturday morning. The country needs governance. IFP President Velenkosi Nihlabisa has urged the ANC and DA to finalize negotiations for forming a unified government, expressing concerns over the ongoing stalemate. This call follows a report by IOL on Thursday indicating that negotiations between the ANC and DA had collapsed over cabinet appointments. Hlabisa addressed the media from the IFP headquarters in Durban, noting that while initial delays were expected, the prolonged impasse was now troubling. So where alarmist reports began to emerge of a potential stalemate between the ANC and the DA, the IFP was not immediately concerned. There was, as far as we would see, no crisis. We understood that there would be the necessary teething problems in forming the government of national unity. Now, however, like all South Africans, the IFP is growing concerned, he said. The negotiations have been marred by disputes over cabinet positions since President Cyril Ramaphosa's inauguration in Pretoria last week. The two parties met on Friday to solve their disputes, but no new information had been released as yet. Political risks can impact the Rand. Casey Sprague, investment analyst at Anchor Capital, told IOL Business that the recent volatility in the Rand reflects the resurgence of domestic political risks highlighted by negotiation strife between the ANC and the DA. Both the country and financial markets are eagerly awaiting the announcement of the cabinet for the 7th administration under the newly formed government of national unity, she said. On a month-to-date basis, the Rand has lost 1.88% against the dollar, given by ongoing concerns around the formation of the new presidential cabinet. She concluded that this places the Rand marginally ahead of Brazil and Mexico, who are currently holding the bottom spots on the emerging market ladder. Meanwhile, CSA dismisses Fikele's appeal against damages for ANC councillors. Outgoing Police Minister Fikile has lost an appeal against a damages claim issued by two former ANC representatives. Thandekile Sabisa, former OR Tambo District Municipality Deputy Mayor, and Lawrence Mambila, a former mayoral committee member responsible for technical services, were unlawfully arrested and assaulted after an attempted murder of Speaker and a local municipality occurred. Sabisa is the ANC's former regional chairperson, and Mambila is the former ANC regional deputy secretary. Sabisa and Mambila were awarded 400,000 Rand in damages for unlawful arrest and detention, as well as 110,000 Rand for assault, fortune, and abuse. Both parties originally wanted 10 million Rands from the minister. After their victory, Hele took the matter to the Supreme Court of Appeal (SCA) in order to overturn the High Court ruling. However, the SCA has upheld the Eastern Cape High Court ruling, according to News 24. Cele will no longer be the police minister. In early June, it was reported that Cele will no longer wear the hat of police minister after he failed to make it into the list of ANC members who will return to parliament. Various organizations have welcomed his departure, which comes after years of call from various quarters that he be dismissed as Minister of Police. It's time to appoint someone who knows what they're doing, said AfriForum's community safety spokesperson Jacques Broderick. The civil society organization has repeatedly called on President Cyril Ramaphosa to sack Cele, saying he lacked the skills and temperament for the job and has failed to curb crime. Cele was previously the MEC for Transport, Safety and Security in KZN. He went on to become the National Police Commissioner and then the Minister of Police. And that's it from Injibs Network. Stay tuned to our celebrity and gossip news.